Her family was very poor. She came from a very poor family. Her dad was a cobbler. Okay, her mother, according to all she did was make babies, and was a housewife. They all worked from the time they were able to in order to survive and to get food. Four passed away at a very young age due to diphtheria and other illnesses that they had no medicine to cure.
And four is
And 6 zostało.
Yeah.
And 6 of them were left. Her brother got killed at war. He was in the service, and the Nazis came and shot him right in front of her eyes because he was helping the Jews, and they were his friends. And that's the time that your mother put my half-sister in an oven to save her, because they were taking little infants bare naked and throwing them in the snow and letting them die there. They had friends that were Jewish that they didn't feel that they needed to be killed, so they were smuggling them to get them out so they could be, go someplace and live. This is what happened to her sister. Her house was totally burned. Her husband was killed in front of them, and she was left with 6 little kids with nothing. That's how it was. All they had was what they had on their body left. She went from house to house to get food in order to feed her kids because there was nothing. They destroyed everything. So that left 5 of them. Her other sister died just right after war. She got a appendicitis at 26 and burst and died. So that left 4 of them. Her youngest brother, that is 10 years younger than her, and then that was her, and then her older brother that was 5 years older, and then her sister that was 10 years older than her. And her brother that was older than her passed away in the mid-60s. Her father was 62. He died from alcoholism. Big thing drinking back then. That was the only way they knew how to leave all the anger and stress. Her mother was 69. She died from rupture. She worked very hard, and she ended up having rupture, and they had no medicine. So she died at 69. She got married to Michael in 1938 when they were both young. He was born in the United States, but his family went back to Poland because of the illness his mother had. And they met, they got married, and he came to the United States after they were married for like a year on vacation to visit his aunts and uncles, and he never went back to Poland. So during that time, my mother ended up having me. Never heard from Mike for 23 years, and after 23 years, he invited her to come to the United States. And legally, she was still married to him. And all of a sudden, he ends up showing up out of nowhere and asking her to come to the United States. And being the devoted Catholic she was, everything was annulled, and she came to United States to be with her first husband. Okay. She was writing in the beginning to him, asking him to bring him, and he said he didn't have money. In the meanwhile, Mike was an alcoholic. So he lived from paycheck to paycheck and drank that all and had a good time and had no time for her or had no money to bring her. Yeah, it's the religion, it's the faith she had. Oh, I asked her many times to divorce him, to leave him, because we would have been better off without him. But she would not, because of the faith she has. The faith that brought her here is the faith that kept him with her. Okay. They were living together for 13 years, and he died from cirrhosis of the liver. He would not stop drinking, and he died from it. Okay. she, by her being so thrifty and working so hard, because Mike drank all his money, she never saw it. She was able to bring me. That was part of the agreement prior to her coming to United States, that he would bring me, because she wasn't coming unless I was coming. I fell asleep from from New York to Detroit, and when Mom came to pick me up, they couldn't find me. All the people came, everybody.
Sleep for a night.
They check in everywhere. They couldn't, I wasn't coming. So she panicked, thinking that I got lost and somebody stole me. So she's raising big chaos. I mean, you know how Baba gets when she gets upset. I felt bad for those people. I didn't see it. And finally they went back and looked on the plane and found me all cuddled up in the back, asleep. And I came out, and that was the first time that I put steps with my mother in the United States. She kept writing to him, and he didn't respond. She also talked to her priest, and the priest knew his parents that were in Poland, and indicated that if they have any kind of knowledge where he is or what's going on, that his mother took illness, and he said that he would not bury her in the Catholic part of cemetery if she doesn't write to him and says, if you are able to come for his first wife, but he will bury her, your grandmother, in that, even though she has remarried, because she's tried and they tried. Her belief was so strong that she would do anything for that belief, because of the faith. Yeah. Yeah. The faith there was so strong that if she would not go back and he tried to get her, she would be totally dissolved from the church and looked down as being non-worthy for that belief. It took her 4 weeks to come on a boat to United States. And when the bad storm came, they would lay in the bed and tie down so they wouldn't be thrown back and forth. She said while they were tied down, all the pots and pans were falling down. She says we were ducking until we wouldn't get hurt. And prior to the storm, she ended up eating too many grapefruits because they didn't have no grapefruits. And she got sick, so she was tied down with the pants coming down back and forth. She was throwing up all over it and sicker than a dog. She made sure she called the captain. He came down to check on her, and she made him promise that if she died, he would throw her overboard.
And give me a promise.
He had to borrow the $31 for her to come to Toledo because he didn't have any money. The way she came was on a train. They put her, she had a name tag on her shoulder saying exactly where they're supposed to take her, what her name was, where she was coming from to where she was going, with her address and her husband's name. Remember, she could not speak one word of English. His boss' wife needed somebody to clean the house. Back then you didn't have the cleaning services you have now. So she went and cleaned the house for the boss lady. Her husband, Mike, would go with her and talk to the lady, and the lady would show her what she expected for his entire week to do. She's helped him by sending things, money, medicine. She's helped them to have what they have now that they would never been able to have without her help. The reason she never went back is because of me. She knew I would never go back because I had a life here. And that's her life is me and my family.
Sabi niya siya.
She said if anything would have happened to me, she would have sold everything and went back and lived with her family. She wouldn't have lived here by herself. Never look back. Neither one of us. Never look back. Because if you look back, you're sorry about it. You look forward. And she knew she had to make it good for herself in order to make it good for me.